Okay guys, so I have another unboxing for you today. This is going to be of another tempered glass PC case. Now, before I start anything, I want to thank GameMax for sending me these products. They've sent me quite the handful, even though it is only 2 products. But I appreciate it nonetheless. So what they've sent me is, I have to try and lift this now with a fractured shoulder. Don't even ask me how I managed it. So they sent me the GameMax Moonstone, which is kind of like the upgraded version of my case, the GameMax Draco. Hopefully you can just about see it there. But they also sent me, if I can get this, there we go, a GameMax Iceberg 240. That's a 240mm AIO cooler for your CPU. Now, it seems to be a pretty good cooler from what I've seen of it anyway. I mean, GameMax have never been bad to me as far as their products go, so I have high hopes in both of these. So, there we go. So let's start with the case. I'm in the case today. Open my little drawer, get my Stanley knife, and get right into the box. So yeah, this is a mid-tower tempered glass PC case. The reason it's a mid-tower is because it does not have the room for eATX, or it does not have 9 or 10 PCIe slots. It has 7, which is the normal standard ATX, which now is classed as a mid-tower. There we go. So yeah, this is actually the case I wanted to get when I was building my system, but sadly my budget didn't permit the extra £30. This retails for £109, which puts it right up there with the $100 case market. So it's up against a lot of the big brands, but I am pretty content with this brand, so I would imagine they've done pretty well. Now, this is tempered glass, so you would hope that hurt. You would hope that it was packaged well. And unlike the Draco, this comes with 2, both side panels are tempered glass. So we get hardstyle foam on the top and the bottom of the case. That's usual. That's going to protect it perfectly fine against a knock. But after that, the protection is gone. I would have liked to see what came with the Draco, which was this soft cell foam that can take a knock and regain its shape. It's like a sponge. It absorbs, and if you squeeze all the water out of it, it will eventually return back to its normal shape. But this is nice, right over the side panels. It's going to protect it. It goes head to toe from the case, and it slots in perfectly, so it's not just going to fall off. So that's nice to see. They are taking precautions with the tempered glass. On this side too. So yeah, other than that, I would have liked to see soft cell foam here. This, speaking of it getting a knock, it must have gotten a knock in shipping because this is broken. But that's only the foam. It's perfectly fine. And already, I can tell this is considerably higher quality than the Draco. The Draco isn't bad quality. The Draco is actually a really high-end case. Well, for someone who builds budget systems, but just by the build quality and the angled kind of design and the pure size of it, this is definitely a £30 more case. Quite cool. They have grommets on the inside, which is actually quite unusual for GameMax. Not saying they're cheap, but simply stating that they normally just go for the cutouts. So I'm going to check the camera to make sure you can see this. You can just about. So in here we have, behind this, which is actually a tempered glass panel. I was wondering about my case as well, and it turns out I took the front panel off. 4 screws behind this tempered glass is a plastic shroud. behind that 4 screws attach this on. So when I thought it was acrylic, it's actually tempered glass, which again, you wouldn't expect it from a case that only costs £109. Excuse me. A very big button at the front. You probably can't see this, but I will go into more depth about the front I/O in a minute once I can bring the camera closer. But yeah, so at the top we get a magnetic dust filter, and at the top you can fit a 360mm radiator, which is a big selling point. And what I really want to do with this case, because I'm going to be using this in my personal system, because I mean, as much as I would like to do a build in it and sell it, you know, it's always good when you can use a case like this for your own personal gain. But yeah, so I forget what I was saying now. But yeah, so as you can see, it is a pretty well-sized case. That's one thing I will say. And I can see the spacing for the fans, which is something I noticed about my one, is the fans come to about here on my one, which means the air coming in has to come in around the fan and then into the case, which is going to put a dampen on the amount of air you get in. This one is much bigger, and the fans come just about halfway, so you have about half of this air is coming in, so already better airflow. But I have my CPU clocked to 3.9 on a single rad water cooler, and it's running perfectly fine. It goes up to about 70 degrees when I'm playing Forza Horizon 3, which is the most CPU intensive game I have. I think it's what brings it to the highest CPU temperature, so don't ask me what's going on there. Excuse me. I have a pretty bad cold or flu or another throat infection, as you can hear by my voice. But yeah, already I'm liking the look of this. So I'm gonna take off this front panel again. Don't know where I got the again from. This is my first time. Also, what I like is this feels like it's designed to have a tempered glass panel on it. And the reason I keep talking about my one is I'm using it for reference. They're both tempered glass cases. The Draco feels like a case that was meant to be an acrylic side panel, and they slapped a tempered glass panel on the side, because down the bottom the feet come up and in about this high, so you can feel the bottom of the glass. This one, the glass is flush with the bottom of the case. Oh, the magic of editing, you won't have to hear me cough every 2 seconds. There we go. So, this is a very weighty side panel. Well, of course, it's glass, but it is very, very hefty. And you can see it is pretty darkly smoked. One thing I will say. But it doesn't seem to be the kind of darkness that would cripple your lighting. The one case I've always noticed that had that issue was the Aerocool Aero 500, and that had an extremely dark tinted acrylic window. This is smoked just so everything isn't the exact colour. It darkens everything down a bit, but it still lets you see everything. So here we can see these this hollow honeycomb mesh. Now this is a bit of a strange one. Your SSDs mount on the back. So they've basically just given you a window to see the barcodes in the back of your SSDs. Now if you like the look of that, I guess you're in luck. Other than that, I think this is just for people that aren't using an SSD here and want to be able to see through. It's also going to create a cool lighting effect when the light comes from these fans. These are RGB fans at the front. It's going to go out there, and because the other side panel is also tempered glass, you're going to get a weird, I guess weird would be the right word to use, considering it's just going to be a honeycomb kind of shape projected onto your wall. interesting, I believe would be the better word for it. So as you can see, we have this power supply shroud, which the GameMax logo is on this, and it's kind of brighter than I've seen before. And this looks a little bit more quality than any other case I've seen by GameMax. Maybe the same material, but this part here feels like it could come off. I'm not 100% about that. But in here, this would be where your hard drives mount on the inside of this. You have, I believe, three 3.5-inch drives and three 2.5-inch drives, but you can also use them in here too. So 6 SSDs if you wanted, never mind M.2. So motherboards are coming, what, 2 and 3 M.2 drives slots now. So up to about 8 SSDs, if not 9, depending on your motherboard. Oh God, give me help. But yeah, so these are quite nice fans. They have a white ring around it, so not only will the blades light up with the all the LEDs that are in here, this ring is also going to light up. So you're going to get a bit of a ring, like the Thermaltake ring fans. You're going to get that kind of effect along with the blade pattern. Now, with this cooler, I believe the logo lights up green, and right now my system is black and red. I'm highly considering doing a black and green build. Now I will have an NVIDIA graphics card, so that does make sense. Sadly, I don't think I'll be getting a Founders Edition because they're more, and I don't want to be spending too much just to have a nice looking graphics card when I can get one that looks perfectly fine, that's just plain black as is. Yes, that's the fans. So water cooling support, I'm pretty sure you can fit a 360 in the front, and what I believe is a 360, yeah, a 360 up top. Or a 240 up top, I believe. Yeah, sorry, 240 up top. So 360 in the front, 240 up top. Again, I mean a 240 in the front and a 240 in the top with graphics card, with single graphics card and CPU overclocked. That is all you need. A 360 in it and a 240 or 280 gives you more headroom because you have another 120mm radiator space that's just going to add to the cooling performance, so you're going to get slightly better temps. So water cooling, custom water cooling in this case, very, very plausible. I would like to see it done. I would like to do it myself. Whether I'll ever be able to afford to buy a custom loop that with hard tubing, because I wouldn't do soft tubing, I do hard tubing, is another question entirely. I guess we'll take off this side panel too, just so I'm not fiddling around, making sure I don't hit it off anything. There we go. And now this will go in the box. Yeah, it'll go in the box. Okay, so if you see the back, we have this, which is it's like an LED controller, so you can have up to 10 fans actually connected, which I don't know where you're going to fit 10 fans in this case, but that's very, very cool. I can already feel the dust filter under the power supply. And here we go, it's no longer just a bag of screws from GameMax. We get them in a little cardboard box now. And that's 2 hard drives, not 3, I apologise. Motherboard speaker. You get your cable ties and your bag of screws, which I think come with different. No, they have these big kind of thumb screws that I thought were maybe for the front of the side panels, but maybe they're just normal thumb screws. That will be all your standoffs and whatnot. So already I can tell you that it comes with the standoffs pre-installed for your motherboard. I believe it comes for ATX pre-installed. We have all your front panel connections, USB 3, HD audio, whatnot, this, that and the other, USB 2, Yeah. And of course your front panel connections here. But this is a nice little box. This is also, I believe, yeah, velcroed to the inside of the case, which is quite cool. It keeps it there. We have plenty of room for cable management. If I can remember where I put my measuring tape. There it is. We have nearly 3 centimeters, just over 3 centimeters of cable management room, which is actually impeccable, to be perfectly honest. I've done builds where you can have a centimeter of cable management room and it turns out perfectly clean. So 3 centimeters means, I mean, you can run extensions without worrying about hitting on something. So already, I mean, without the tempered glass panels, this case is still quite weighty. And you can fit a full, if you wanted a 1000 watt power supply in here, no problem to you. We have these foam padding here that will absorb vibrations from your PSU fan. And there is a dust filter, if I can get to that now. There we go. Power supply dust filter covers your entire power supply. No matter where your fan is, whether it's towards the front or the back, that's not gone on correctly. I'll put that back on after the video. Yeah, so we have these Velcro straps for cable management, which again is a very nice addition. And we also have these rubber grommets, which usually the GameMax cases come with only the metal cutouts. Now these don't feel like they're going to come off incredibly easily. I mean, I can easily pull it off, but other than that, I think when you're just building, as long as you kind of hold them in place relatively well, and don't make them do all the work, they'll stay no problem. They even have them coming up towards where the motherboard is, down the bottom here. Let me think. Yeah, so the cables, again, a lot of them aren't incredibly thick. The only thick ones I can see are your USB 3, but that's always the case. Again, ample airflow in the front, plenty of storage room. Room for a very big power supply. They even have a foam pad on the inside of this power supply shroud, which means it's going to absorb vibrations there. So again, that's another good point. Never mind the fact that you get 4 RGB fans, and with my experience with GameMax fans, they're usually very, very quiet. So you get 4 RGB fans. These PCIe covers are removable. They have the thumb screws, which means they're not breakaway. Again, another sign that this is a high quality case. A tempered glass front panel. Technically, it's not one you can remove, but it's there. Excuse me. And you get incredible room for water cooling. So essentially, you're getting the same kind of experience you would get with the Corsair 560 or 570X. I forget exactly which one it is. But you're getting that for £109 as opposed to last time I checked about 157, so about £160. You're saving yourself about £50 there, which is probably going to creep up to about let me think, 60 odd euro, a little bit more in dollars. So already, you know, you're doing well for yourself. You can also move this rear fan up and down a little bit. It comes on sliders. You can remove this and go for a 240 exhaust if you wanted to. A 120 will be perfectly, it'll be ample airflow for your exhaust. You get these rubber mounts that actually seat the tempered glass onto it so that you don't have to hold it there while you screw it in. Tempered glass can sit on this and it's a pretty firm seal. So you can push it on and it'll sit there. And one thing that I was actually quite surprised about was the room for cable management at the front. I was expecting like at max 2 centimeters, but 3 centimeters is more than enough, to the point where you actually have excess room. Now that's understandable considering you don't want your cables rubbing right up against your tempered glass side panel and possibly scratching it. So I completely understand why they give you so much room, but that gives it a really broad, quite a broad, strong kind of stance. You know, it's not an incredibly tall case, but it is quite wide. So you get a really broad, kind of strong feel off looking at it. And with the fans in the front, it lights up and it really catches your attention. And instantly, you go from a case that really doesn't cost too much for what it is, doing a build in it, you have this build that looks like it cost, you know, an arm and a leg, when really, you could shave 50 quid off this. And that means when you get a case like this, it doesn't always come with incredible fans. You get 4 RGB fans with room for a radiator. So, again, that's more. And so you can kind of do a build in this for a good bit of money less. That gives you a really nice kind of feeling of when you look at the system. It's kind of hard to explain, but even back here we have this honeycomb ventilation at the back. So any warm air that could possibly come off here, if you can get a bit of airflow out here, it's going to all go back and come out. So you're not going to get hot air trapped behind your CPU, because believe it or not, the back of the motherboard where the CPU is can get quite hot. So you're going to get your heat exhausted out, and it's not going to build up. And the inclusion of the fan controller with the ability to control your LEDs with a click of a button up front is quite cool, quite nice. You also have a 3-speed fan controller, which also controls this rather than having to go inside the case. To power this, it takes one single Molex. Every power supply is going to have a Molex. If you're using a modular one, you know, it's not going to be the end of the world. You can just plug in a lead that has 3 Molex on it, run it in here, connect the Molex, and you're done. You don't have to worry about it anymore. Non-modular, perfectly fine, because power supply shroud, you're not going to see your cables, everything can get ducked under here. You don't need to be able to see that big cable mess, so again, save yourself some money in a build. Okay, so here I have the case set up with the power supply and everything. It's not pretty, but it will do the job. So there, you can click on the box here. I can turn up the fans. I believe I can. I think I can just turn. Yeah, I can turn the fans off and leave the LEDs on if I want. Or I can turn it up to high. At this point, the fans become audible. But down here, incredibly quiet. But anyway, if I go to the modes of the LEDs, when you start off you get base red, then you go to green, blue, yellow, lighter blue, purple, white, and then you get this, which looks incredible. Does it with all the colours. And then it mixes, which I think looks incredible. So it does first colour with the second colour, second with the third, third with the fourth, fourth with the fifth. And so on. But if there's actually more options, if I use the, so the breathing feature. and then a longer breathing feature. Click it again, it goes into a mixture again. There is one option that I really want you to see. Now this is beautiful. This is like a propeller but of multiple different colours. Which I'm not sure you can see it, don't think it comes up properly. But this is white and red, white and green, white and blue, white and yellow, white and light blue, white and purple, and then blue and white. And then I believe it's back to the base colours. So as you can see, there are plenty of choices when it comes to your fan control. 3-speed fan controller, even has a reset button. Usually, with all the other cases I've seen with this kind of package, the reset button has to double as your LED. So you either choose between a reset button or an LED controlling button. But I have to say, I was expecting it to go through the colours, have breathing, and then have maybe a randomize. I wasn't expecting this many features, and I must say it's made me think even more about the possibilities you can have with this case, because you can literally do anything. You can make this case look as nice as you want, do whatever you want. It just seems to be a really good case. And I couldn't be happier being sent this, especially because if I can use it in a build, I think that build will turn out to be the nicest I've ever done. So I'll turn off the power supply. And yeah, so I guess what I'm going to do now is I'm going to recap on exactly what this case is like. Before I do anything, I'm going to go through the front IO. You probably can't see it very well, but here we have our LED button, 2 USB 2, microphone, headphone jack, a big power button, a smaller reset button that you could definitely not mistake for the power button. Never mind the fact that you need to really squeeze your finger in there for it to be able to press. 2 USB 3 and a 3-speed fan controller. That is what is on the top, and it fills out the top of the case lovely. It looks really well, and the ports even have, actually everything has this kind of chrome outline, like a chamfer in towards the button or the port, and it looks really nice, looks really quality. The airflow should be more than sufficient. You get all the grommets you want, all the storage you could possibly ever use for the average gamer or even content creator. Take the jumper out for the power supply. Yeah, so I mean overall it's just an incredible case, and I think if I use this for my system, I don't think I'll ever sell it, and if I do, I'm definitely getting another one of these cases. Or maybe trying out another GameMax case that I recently saw on their website. I don't know if it's launched yet or not, so I'm not going to mention it. But it looks incredible, and that is something I want to do a custom water cool build in. Basically, that's it from me. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.